Hello out there, and welcome to the No Shit Cast, flagship podcast of the X Factory Creative Network. I'm your host, Matt Frazier. Tonight's co-host, sitting in the hot seat with me, the gray wizard of historical knowledge himself, Mr. Eric Smith. How you doing tonight, Eric?
Ow!
It's like a full moon or something? Is that what you're implying? Or?
In my head.
So, big old week this week, folks. We recorded a podcast last week with Daryl Montgomery Hell. He came on the show. What an amazing guy. If you get a chance, I highly recommend you go back and check that interview out. It was so much fun. But just a really fascinating and interesting person anyway. But that podcast now... and this previous week, we just set a record for the amount of downloads we had in a single week, and that's largely in part to our friend over at the X Factory, the enigmatic Mr. Tangent D Noir, has been in there moving the controls and sliding the sliders and adjusting things, and apparently now we're showing up in a lot more search engines and things like that. So big shout out and thanks to the X Factory and Tangent over there. You the man, brother. Thank you so much. We appreciate it.
Highly nutritious.
So again, thanks everyone for the likes and the subscribes and for all the downloads and stuff. Man, we are humbled and just so appreciative of everybody and the outpouring of support for what we're doing here. But been a really good week. It was a good week for Mr. Smith this week too, right?
Yeah, definitely so. Finishing a semester of schoolage. Schoolage. Got plenty of it, and and I'm done for a summer, and that's nice. I really enjoyed the World War II class that I had because I didn't know much about it.
That's right, and we have him coming up next weekend on the show, right? You want to tell us a little bit about him?
Dr. Nevin is the American Historical Professor at Ohio University Lancaster. He is the professor that taught my World War II class and many other classes that I've taken with him, and he is also my historical advisor. So he is all those things, and he is an all-around good guy as well.
So he's like your Yoda or something?
Pretty much, yeah.
Is that what it is?
He teaches me how to be a historian. He teaches us, and that's what most of his classes are like. Like he puts a lot of emphasis on contextualizing history and how you're going to relate that back to a modern listener, which is really the crux of being a historian.
Ah, really cool. So he's coming up on the show next weekend.
Yes.
So
I'll be sending him an email tonight to make sure that I give him a little heads up.
They'll make Tangent happy because now he knows.
Yes. Well, we've mentioned it before in some of our past.
Yeah, he had to cancel
for a while.
Right.
Yeah.
He had to cancel because of I think it was weather or something, if I remember right. But nonetheless, we had to postpone. And I'm really looking forward to having him on the show. I think he's going to be fascinating.
We'll
to
be
talk
talking
with
him about how he got his doctorate, and his I guess that was a bit of a struggle for him to do, and in some fashion, and about his prior musical endeavors in the past. I guess he was a part of a punk rock band called Bad Brains.
Oh wow, really?
Yeah. So we'll talk about that to some degree, and. Then maybe just see where it goes from there. And
yeah, well, you just took his class on World War II history, right? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I finished that up. I've had,
but yeah, because I think he's going to be fascinating because I think we're going to end up finding out a lot about that war and the history of it that a lot of people maybe don't know.
Well, I think he's a specialist on Nixon in particular. I took a Watergate class with him and a Vietnam class with him. Yeah. Oh man!
Also, can we turn him loose on the parallels between what's happening now?
Well, yeah. As far as I'm concerned, we can. If he's willing to talk about anything of that nature.
Who was it? We had an author on here too that was a big Nixon, Watergate. Who was it? Was that? Which person did we have on that was a big, huge fan of that and had written some books? I could have swore we had somebody on that did. Maybe I'm wrong.
I don't know. I don't
I'm going to have
remember.
to go back and listen through.
I think if it was
36 hours.
somebody, it would probably be Dobson.
I think it is Michael Dobson, right?
I think it would be him if it was anybody, but I'm not sure.
think so. I could be wrong.
Yeah, I've taken that a Watergate class, a Vietnam class with him, and a writing class where I wrote my historical thesis. And
Was he the guy that said you used too many words?
Yeah. Yep, he said he called me in his office and he said he didn't have to tell most people this. And this was like I think the first class I took from him, and I just wrote too many words and stuff, and because that's part of it. You have to learn to be succinct,
Right.
so that you're not losing people in a paper, that you're writing and stuff. And then that was difficult for me to do. And most of the time people just don't want to write that much at all, but I really like writing. So I had to kind of figure out how to be a bit succinct. It was like that when I took a playwriting and analysis class too. All the plays that I would write were really thick and brochaic and such. And I had to finally strip down to writing just a normal play about a family and some drama that was going on in the family. And everybody clapped when it was acted out, but it wasn't because it was a great play. It was because I'd finally lightened up, and wasn't doing all this weird science fiction crazy stuff.
It was like a pity clap or something? Or
no, I think out of everybody in that class, I gained the most. It was a class that Professor Cooperman taught, and really to this day, it's one of the classes that had meant the most to me. I learned how to understand what an audience is going to relate to. The small circle of friends that I have and who I am are not the people I probably should be writing for, right? Because the audience isn't going to be comprised of those kinds of people. Whether I'm writing a novel or a play or anything like that, I was writing for a very specialized audience, and to be able to take what I was doing in that writing and strip it down and to make it better. It's a hard lesson. It's the same thing in music.
I was
too.
going to say, yeah, because you kind of have the same. I know you always end up writing a lot more music than you end up using.
Yeah.
Or I shouldn't say writing. You know what I mean? Like you end up putting a lot of stuff in, but you end up then going back in and cutting out.
Taking it out or just not using it or waiting for a relevant time for it to be useful.
What'd you say? You said this to me one time. If you can take out so many tracks or something like that and listen to it and it still holds continuity, then you probably need to cut it back, kind of thing, right? That's kind of how there's a test that you use.
Yeah, I write music weird. I write music like you would just pile up a pile of wood and get it to the height you want it so that that's your song, and then I take it and sort it out, and kind of.
I don't think you're alone though in doing it that way. You build music more than you like. It's not done the same way necessarily on an analog instrument like a guitar or a standard piano or anything like that. But as I remember, I think Mutt Lange, who's a real famous producer, he produced he was married to Shania Twain, I think, for a while, and then he produced bands like Def Leppard and stuff like that. I think that's kind of how he made music, is he would get a band in, they would play some riffs and hooks and things like that, and just sort of out of that, he would construct like a melody with a bridge and things, and then they would perform it through. But he kind of had an ear for making music that way. So it's not like it's not a valid way to make music. It absolutely is, man. But I think it's kind of unusual to do it that way where like people who do analog instrumentation don't. They just sort of strum out a melody and it sort of all comes together differently that way.
Sometimes I get lost in just sound design, like with most of the stuff that I write, I end up making the actual sound, and sometimes that's all I get done in a session is just making a sound or something of that nature or rhythm, and then later construct with it. But it's all good.
I had a buddy of mine from the gym, actually. He dinked himself up a little bit, and but he's also a guitar player. So I ran over, and he was talking to me about he's learning how to play like lead guitar and stuff like that. And it was a lot of fun to go and help somebody because he was like super, super close, it seemed like. and just from talking to him, but he was just trying to figure out kind of how all the puzzle pieces fit together and go, and it didn't take him long, man. I gave him like a spreadsheet and stuff like that, and just, but to sit down with someone and kind of go through that experience, that discovery process, and then to stick around a little bit and jam with him and things like that, and it's been a while since I've done that kind of stuff, so it was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it.
I like all aspects of it. I even like when I get stuck in learning the software.
Yeah.
Even if all I do is figure out how the software works, and then later on make a sound with it, and then later on compose with that sound, that's fine.
I was just showing this to somebody too. The music Memo app inside of you can get it for your iPhone or iPad, I suppose, as well. Well, that's that thing you can just play to the like the phone's speaker, and it records it, and then you can kind of go in, and you can actually add like a once you strum it out, it doesn't matter. You can use a guitar or piano, whatever. You play like a melody or whatever, and then you can just hit a button and it'll add a bass line. It like derives just from what you played. It just sort of derives a real simple or more. You have like a slider. You can make it a more complex or less complex. But what's really cool about that, right, is after you do all that, so you got kind of it'll even throw in a drum track too. But once you do all of that, then you can take that and literally export that directly into GarageBand, again on your phone, okay? And then go in and start adding keyboards and all this. And before you know it, you got something that's, I mean, you can take by the time you're done, you can just take that original thing you strummed out, just take it out, and the whole song could just be digitally precise, and you can go in. What do they call that? Where you tell it to adjust where the beats all land?
Swing?
No, not monetization. What's it called?
Quantization.
Quantization. Yeah, where it moves everything to be exactly on the right beat and all that. So it's just fascinating to me because like 5 years ago, if it was, I didn't know about it, but I don't think any of this shit was possible.
Yeah, I rarely use any of that. Any of those algorithms that produce the music, usually because I get too interested and lost in just every little detail and part.
Yeah, I remember that. We did that one time, right? And you just get lost in the controls and all the options and shit. And it's like, dude, can we play something?
It's like, yeah, I am, I'm doing this. This is just as cool as playing for me. And no, I mean, like, so that takes away some of my fun. Anything that would produce a bass line or anything like that, then I wouldn't be able to do my own and stuff.
Right.
But that's part of the fun of having this kind of equipment for me, is that every aspect is mutable.
Yeah.
I mean, everything is mutable. Everything is, and I love that.
It's amazing, man, what you can do at home now.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
You can do at home every bit what you can do in a studio nowadays. There isn't no difference. Like processing power and RAM aside, there's no difference now in what you can do at home and what you can do at a studio.
Yeah.
As far as the recording quality and anything really, you got the computing power, you can do it at home, and that's great though. I like that.
It is handy, but it's changing everything too, right? What you're seeing, I just saw this thing on The Voice. Did I show that to you? That kid what do they call those guys? Loopers?
Yeah, I guess that's
or something like that.
I don't know. Yeah,
that Australia. It was The Voice Australia, and he comes out and he just like loops his voice through a microphone with some effects and stuff. And he did Prince's song "When Doves Cry" or whatever. If you haven't seen it, I mean, I highly recommend, if you're listening and you haven't seen this, go look this. I think his name's Sam Perry. The Voice Australia. And that's that Prince song, but it was. That's what I mean. We're seeing stuff now that is just so different,
and it's electronic at the same time. It's organic.
Yeah, very.
That's a typical misconception: is that type of music or this type of music is completely in the can and digital, and really, it's not. When it's. You're working.
It all depends on how you do it.
Well, yeah. I mean, you're going to almost always be working in a digital environment, but the sources are going to be very natural in a lot of cases. There's samples of your own voice, samples of other things that are natural, but of course, all of this manipulation is being done in the digital realm, so it does get digitized.
Did you watch that? I had found a Tool video of them playing Sober live somewhere. If you're a Tool fan or not, I don't know, but I sent that to you.
Yes.
Did you get that? And that had been re-enhanced where they had gone back with some sort of software, took the shitty cell phone, looked like, because I think it was recorded, I mean, what is it even, cell phone? It looked like it was recorded maybe back in the 90s or something like that. And then they took that and was able to go through a software package and take all of the background bullshit out and the noise out and re-enhance the audio. And now it's like this.
In fact, in most cases, it's multiple sources of audio that they feed into that algorithm.
And it just stitches it all together to revive it. It's like those guys that go in and take paintings and frescoes.
Well,
they restore them with those like giant Q-tips and some paintings. Okay, I know they do it with paintings, and then they do it with statues and stuff, and they have like special chemicals. And they remove the centuries worth of candle grime and oil paint. Yeah, and they get it off, and then these paintings are revitalized. You know, they're like like their original vibrance is brought back out, and that's kind of what that software does with that. I couldn't believe it, man.
Well, Isotope, which is the software that I use for mastering, it's Ozone 8 Advanced, along with Neutrino 2 Advanced, but they have algorithms on them that does that same thing. And I think they were the people that actually developed it. I'm not sure, but I think that they were the people that...
Yeah, they could take like wind noise and stuff off of a microphone too, right?
All kinds of stuff, yeah. I mean, they got even software for very detailed work, like their RX series allows you to take like pops and clicks. So if you was to record like a record, you could take those pops and clicks and things like that out. And,
right.
And like you said, wind in the background and things like that. It's amazing, dude, what they've been able to do digitally.
I can't wait. You know, if people can get their hands on this, then I think we're going to see like this weird flood of vintage concert footage and stuff that had like really horrible audio.
Yeah.
And then they're going to these are all going to come back, and then then they're going to be worth watching, you know.
Maybe it will just generate those same amount of people who complained when they started colorizing black and white classic films, that they were insisting they were destroying something then that should be left in that particular fashion.
Yeah.
You know, it's strange. Because clearly you and I probably would as well get very much enjoyment out of listening to those refurbished.
Absolutely.
Live.
I mean, there's some classic concerts, man, that were just shit audio recordings.
But there will be those people that will shit all over that.
Well, whatever. You know, you're ruining it, man.
Yeah, it's not supposed to be heard that way. It's supposed to be heard through a shitty 90s cell phone.
No, it was ruined when you recorded it, Scooter.
Yeah. No, I think it's great, man. I think it's brilliant that they're doing that.
Conversely, when I went to the last Roger Waters concert, which was just phenomenal show. Oh my God, was it great? My buddy Jamie, it's funny, he apologized to me. He's like, you know, and he does this because he's taken several other people to go see Roger Waters for their first time. It was my first time. And he told me, he's like, man, I'm really sorry. And I'm like, for what? He goes, for ruining every concert you're ever going to see for the rest of your life. And I'm not sure he's not wrong. I'm not sure that he's wrong. I think he's probably right. I mean, it was that good. But so I did grab some videos for Facebook and shit of you know, just kind of catching the amazing special effects and everything that he did, and the lights and everything that they were doing. But I was really surprised when I went back after the fact and watched them, how good the audio quality on just my open air microphone on my iPhone was. Now, I mean, I'm smart enough not to stick my finger, like a lot of people, you can hear their hand rolling around. It's like, stop touching that part of the phone where the microphone is.
It's the input.
You know, so I didn't get all of that kind of crap, but I was really stunned at the audio quality that I got recorded. Was like, shit, man. I mean, it was really good, comparatively speaking, is what I'm saying. It's not studio quality or anything like that by far, but it was far better than I thought after watching years of shitty cell phone footage and stuff like that. You know, it was kind of surprising that it wasn't bad.
No, and just as technology increases, and just like when you're taking films, the DPI level gets, you know, increases, 1080p or whatever. The same thing can and will happen with audio, because you
Right.
have 16-bit, and then there's 24-bit, and then there's 32-bit. And I think my sound card goes all the way up to something absurd. I can't even remember what it is, but it's pretty good. You can manipulate on a very fine level a lot of different things and mix that down to 16-bit, 100 kilohertz, and it's great.
That's how we do the show. We record the show as like 144 megahertz, right?
Megahertz, kilohertz, I think kilohertz.
Kilohertz or whatever,
Yeah.
and then we mix everything down, and ultimately it ends up as an MP3, but... I know, but that's what... Unfortunately, man, not everybody's walking around with 16 terabyte iPhones, so that was like one of the biggest complaints we had when we first started was we were doing those MP4s, and they were just massive.
That was mostly my fault.
Why is that?
I remember I still refuse to give you anything that's not a WAV file.
Yeah,
so.
I just handle it on the back end.
I won't give anybody something that's not a WAV file. No, can you compress that down to an MP3? No. I feel like that's, I don't know, baking a really nice cake and then just shitting all over it and putting a Tupperware lid over it, sending it out. Like, why would I do that? Just...
So I wonder if we have anybody left actually listening to this podcast at this point, now that we've gone all geeked out and started talking about music and recording music and shit instead of talking about like interesting topical stuff.
Well, I find it interesting, this information about music, but I also have this other thing here. I wanted to play a little bit
What
of
you got?
The world's fastest talking man sings Michael Jackson's Bad in 20 seconds. This guy, I remember growing up and seeing this guy.
Is this the
guy.
The guy that did the little cars?
It is, the Micronauts.
Is that what they were called?
I think so.
I thought they were called like, there was something else.
Maybe.
Something wheels.
Hot Wheels. Micro Wheels.
All right, so
Will Knots. Okay. So anyway, here we go.
Just sort of give us your rendition of it. Like to hear that?
I'll give it up to the first chorus there. Okay. Your buddy's mind gonna tell you right. You show your face in the broad daylight. I'm telling you how I feel. Gonna hurt your mind. Don't shoot to kill. Come on, lay it on me. All right. I'm giving you one on the count of 3 to show you stuff or let it be. I'm telling you, just watch your mouth. I know your game. What about you? Well, I say the sky's a limit, and to me that's really true. But my friend, you see nothing. Just wait till I get through because I'm bad. Come on. Bad, really, really bad. You know I'm bad. You know, bad, really, really bad. You know I'm bad. Come on. You know bad, really, really bad. And the whole world does the answer just right. Just tell you once again who's bad. Close. Very.
All right, so I might slow that down.
And do what with it? Like stick it in, like try to remaster it into the original track or something?
Yeah, I might take that section out, slow it down, and see how accurate it is.
Oh, like listen through it and see if he actually missed any.
Yeah.
Your buddy's mind gonna tell you right. You show your face in the broad daylight. I'm telling you how I feel. Gonna hurt your mind. Don't shoot to kill. Come on, lay it on me. All right. I'm giving you one on the count of 3 to show you stuff or let it be. I'm telling you, just watch your mouth. I know your game. What about you? Well, I say the sky's the limit, and to me that's really true. But my friend, you see nothing. Just wait till I get through because I'm bad. Come on. Bad, really, really bad. You know I'm bad. You know, bad, really, really bad. You know I'm bad. Come on, you know, bad, really, really bad. And the whole world does the answer just right. Just tell you once again who's bad.
Isn't that messed up that, I wonder, there must be some sort of limit on how fast you can make something, the words go through before it actually would stand up with any validity in a court of law of any kind, right? Because could you play it for them go, fucking Your Honor, do you understand what the hell he's saying?
Maybe.
Because I don't.
I don't know, man. There's so many places I thought you were going to go with that where it finally landed, it made me laugh. Because I thought you were going to say, like, any pulse, yes. I'm highly entertained. Don't throw any swords at me. Don't Russell Crowe me, man.
Okay.
Are you not entertained? Didn't he throw a sword or something like he was mad?
I seen that so long ago, the Gladiator movie or whatever it was. Yeah, so I can't remember it, but I do use that meme quite a bit. Are you not entertained? Especially generally when it's, I'll throw it on something like when someone shares some like really crazy politics news story or something bad that happens, that someone does something stupid, and I'll just be like, are you not entertained?
I thought you were going to say that a series of tones. Once they get so close together, they become just one tone, like a rhythm that you speed up to the point where you can't distinguish between.
Yeah.
I thought that's at first where you were going, and then I
No, that's where you would go with it.
Sure, that's
Us
where I would go with it.
people in the world that aren't like freaking complete audio nerds.
Yeah, like 1/4, 1/8, and 32, 64.
Welcome to the Band Geek Hour of the No Shit Podcast, ladies and gentlemen.
That was, and yes, and this guy, he talks fast, and he was a blast from the past.
Yeah.
A fast blast from the past. I thought you were even going to go where there was only a certain amount of information that you can pack into any area or space and time.
Well, that's the question. Like I said, there's got to be some sort of
limit
words.
on. There's a limit on everything.
The Supreme Court has ruled that only 126 words per minute is allowed, because 127 is too many for the average schmo to understand.
Yeah, can you slow it down a little bit? No, I mean, not you, him.
Me?
No, not you, him.
Can he? Yeah, right.
Yeah, that's what when someone would say to him.
Micro wheels.
I got an email from CVS. That's pretty cool.
It was a micro wheels.
Micro wheels?
Was that what it's called?
No. Micronauts. See, here, we got to look this up.
Well, you look it up, but I made you watch. I want to talk about this a little bit. If you guys haven't seen it yet, YouTube Red has released a continuation of the Karate Kid franchise as a series, and I thought it was going to suck, to be honest with you. But I made you watch the first one.
You did,
and I watched the first one. And what'd you think of it?
You didn't really make me watch, but I was interested. I wanted to watch it because, it stars what's his name? LaRusso.
Ralph Macchio.
Yeah, Ralph Macchio. Mouth Macchio. It stars that dude and the other guy whose name I can't remember.
It's like William Zaka or something like that.
If you say so, yes. The blonde kid that got beat up. Johnny, right. The first person to get kicked in the face at the end of the first movie there. Yes, and that was, I think they kind of had me there, man. I was like, man, if those guys are coming back to reprise those roles, I definitely want to see it just for that. And then when you were telling me about how they used footage from the actual film that Paramount gave them that they didn't use in the actual film, plus stuff they used in the film for their flashbacks, it was like really cool. And I thought it would be, and it was when I watched it, it was very surreal in the sense that I had watched this that many years ago and it was in my head. So watching these flashbacks, especially the ones that weren't in the movie, was extremely surreal.
Yep.
And so that was all very, very cool. And the acting was pretty good. I didn't care as much for the main actor guy, I think, as you did, but he wasn't bad or anything. I need to maybe see a little more. I only watched 27 minutes, right, the first episode. But there was times he had me for sure, but there was times that I thought, well, he's acting kind of weird. But like you pointed out, it was a setup between drama and comedy
a little bit. Yeah, but it's called Cobra Kai, and then the people that actually do all the writing on it, I think, wrote like the Harold and Kumar movies, and I think they also wrote Hot Tub Time Machine. So they're kind of a pedigree is like raunchy comedies and stuff like that, but it was it's not like they didn't do that with it. It's not like that at all. It does definitely have kind of a little bit of a dark humor to it, but I think they did a really good job of finding a way to kind of come back at the storyline from the Johnny's point of view, the guy that lost. You know?
So I haven't decided on whether I like the writing or not.
Yeah,
I do like everything I seen up until mostly the end. Okay, like I liked everything that led up to it, but I'm not sure if I'm going to like. And of course, okay, so here's spoilers. I guess if we haven't given spoilers already. This is when you roll with this. This is what happens. You're along for the ride. You don't know what's going to happen. So anyway, like at the end, it's a reversal, and I don't really like reversals, right? So you've got the Johnny kid who's willing to be the sensei for a new kid who has moved into the area in the same apartment complexes that the other one took place in. So That doesn't seem very original to me.
Oh, I didn't get that it was the same apartment complex.
Well, it's
but
similar.
it's definitely got the exact same vibe.
Yeah,
as, you know.
Yeah. So I don't like reversals like that. But that being said, they set that up as about as good as you could set up something like that.
Yeah.
And if they stick with it, if he really does the old school karate stuff,
Yeah.
and makes kind of that the big deal, I think that would be cool, man.
Yeah.
Because it would be a bit of a crapper to have him do something different than that, right? But to re-embrace that would be kind of neat.
I like that movie. I actually like the movie that the one they did, the new Karate Kid with Will Smith's kid, Jaden. I think it's Jaden Smith, and it had Jackie Chan in it. But the problem was they called it the Karate Kid, but they should have called it the Kung Fu Kid. And let it be its own thing, you know what I mean? Because basically they just kind of reimagined the original Mr. Miyagi Karate Kid thing. So I'm glad that's kind of not as part of this lexicon. Like it's almost like comic books. Like it's a separate multiverse.
Yeah, sort of like
thing.
the J.J. Abrams Star Trek.
Yeah,
stuff.
right. And Star Wars stuff, which I'm not really.
Well, they're supposed to be all in the Star Wars stuff. Supposed to be all in the same universe, but almost uniformly the fans and now the movie people have sort of said from the Star Trek the Abrams movies are a bit of a offset.
Well, their departure,
separate universe sort of a thing.
But they're not trying to say that it's not either. They built that right into the storyline. It's like a separate story arc with the first movie that Abrams did. But
because that story even talks about how they do a different timeline thing and all that.
But I guess I relate.
There's problems in that story too.
I found myself being easily able to relate to Johnny. You know, William Zabka's, I think it's Zabka, his character, in that he was this guy that was like the popular high school jock, and then got his face kicked in by the nerd. You know what I mean? For
With
all
an
intents
illegal
and purposes.
move.
Well, that's and that's kind of in the storyline now, is that it was an illegal move, and then there's this whole conspiracy theory now. That you can go find this on YouTube, where you can find that Daniel was the bully, not Johnny. And if you kind of reason through what they say, it's plausible, when you look at it. Daniel's kind of a dick, and
he took his revenge too far.
And what's cool about this is they're not running from that. That's in there. I mean, they've built that right in. They're not saying that's not the case. So that whole conspiracy that kind of bubbled around the internet for years is part of this. I mean, they've put it in there because there's a lot of legitimacy.
That's cool too.
To this, to what was pointed out by the fans in the story arc, the original story arc.
You've seen the first two, right?
First two episodes on. Yeah, I haven't done the deep dive. I mean,
right. It's going to cost money for diving.
It's like $10 a month. But
you'll binge watch it in a week. So.
I'm probably being stupid, but I'm so fucking cheap. Here's what I'm trying to do, right? Because I have a 1 month free Red Tube, YouTube Red. That's what it's called. Offer where I can get a month.
Where you get the prostitutes.
Had to go there, huh? Yeah. Man, that was so far outside the plate, man. You could have just let that go. So my thinking was that I'll wait until, because I guess it's been so huge, and I think they had already committed. YouTube had already committed. I watched an interview with I want to say Daniel LaRusso, but that's not his name. With Ralph Macchio and the other guy, William Zabka.
Ralph LaRusso.
And, I'm going to look this up, man, to make sure I'm not saying his name wrong. And they said that when they pitched it to YouTube first, and YouTube was just like, they weren't going to take no for an answer. They wanted to pick the series up. So there's a season 2 already. But what they're really using it as, I mean, they're launching. I've seen some of the trailers for some of the other episodes now, and it looks like what they're doing is they're really setting it up to launch these younger actors that are the students of the now senseis in Daniel and Johnny.
I wonder how much drama they'll crank out of the background between LaRusso and Johnny in the show.
It's William Zabka.
Zabka. That's why you can't remember. It's like the guy on The Walking Dead. His real name, his middle name is something like Cuttlefish or something. I can't remember. It's I'll have to look that up.
Cuttlefish,
something like that. Yeah.
I didn't. The Walking Dead. I think we talked about that. That series kind of lost me after like the third season. it just became brutal to watch that fucking show. It's, hey, which main character can we get you to fall in love with and then bash their head in or whatever this week? And I'm like, I'm done with this, man. I'm not electing to do this anymore.
I think that I'm going to quit watching TV altogether. Like, I mean, I already have for years, but like I'm thinking about just stopping watching.
You mean like
shows.
Network type television or just?
Yeah, I'm thinking that because every time I get interested in something, they can it.
Oh, you're complaining about The Expanse.
God damn it, I am.
That's what you're complaining about, isn't it?
It is. Very, very astute. You're right.
I heard that.
I am.
I heard that they canceled that.
Yeah, 2 years. That's the last thing I binge watched and actually liked and appreciated and thought was well written, well filmed. Had everything was going
too
for it.
much, man. Too much.
Yeah.
You're asking too much. That was a great show with a huge backstory and all kinds of interesting interconnected character arcs.
Mormons
and all
in
this
space.
I mean, how could you ask for anything more than Mormons in space,
Yeah.
man? Building huge, like, transport ships and arcs and stuff they're going to send out into the expanse.
Exactly.
And you cancel that. Yeah. I was a little surprised that didn't do much better because it was so well done.
Did you see where they were shopping it around, though?
Yeah, I'd heard that. That's they think it'll probably get picked up by like Amazon or Netflix or something like that, possibly YouTube. Who knows?
Yeah, well, still, man, that's strange.
You're pissed. So you're just going to protest by not watching anything anymore?
Well,
huh?
yeah, it's the same thing. It's just like with no dating and no watching TV. There's a lot of things I'm just going to stop doing.
No dating?
Yeah.
No dating.
No dating, no watching TV.
Chicks be bugging, yo.
Everything gets canceled.
That's the way shit works, man.
What?
So that's the way shit works. So I like it anyway. I like Cobra Kai. I think it's going to do, and it's doing phenomenal. Can we get back on topic here, Jiminy?
Cobra Kai. So that dude is his stage name for The Walking Dead, and I'm not helping you get far back on there, but his name is Andrew Lincoln. That's his film name.
Okay.
His real name is something else, which I'm trying to find. All right, take over, dude. Take over.
Take over. Oh no! You've extended this news quite far enough. You're going through with this.
Andrew Clutterbuck.
Clutterbuck. That was what we waited for. That's the climax. That's the dun, 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 dun moment.
The sound Clutterbuck is good. Clutterbuck.
You need help,
Clutterbuck,
buddy.
Clutterbuck, go Clutterbuck, Clutterbuck.
Boom, boom, boom. Dandelions, bro.
See, yes, you're going to have to start that off.
Dandelions.
Dandelion wine.
Nope. Dandelions. I keep seeing all these memes and shit on Facebook. How you're supposed to let the dandelions come in because it's the first, like, flowers that flower and it's good for the bees and shit like that. But dandelions are the bane of my existence right now.
Well, I don't know much about dandelions. I hear, though, that they have a lot of holistic uses. So I don't know if that's true exactly, but I hear that.
Let me tell you what the uses of dandelions are. They make my lawn look like shit. That's what their use is.
Because you don't like the color yellow?
No, it isn't that. It just makes my yard look all uneven and have like big pock marks in it with these great big. Because I mow, and then you end up with these ugly ass green flowers, and or where the bottoms of them.
Damn
are
flowers
sticking
make
out.
my yard look uneven. Kill 'em.
I hate dandelions. It's like and they'll grow like
Anywhere.
anywhere.
Yeah.
You know.
1 year you won't have any in your yard. 2 years in a row, 3 you will.
I want to be all holistic and shit, you know, and not, you know, pollute the planet unnecessarily and things like that. But I'm about to go fucking Agent Orange on these fucking dandelions, man. I'm telling you, I'm done. I'm so done dealing with these
Don't
things.
they have specific like
chemicals?
Yeah, like
they got
tailor-made
chemicals, baby. They got
for
the
just
chemicals.
those things, don't they?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So
It's-
you're
it's
not
on.
alone if we've developed specific chemicals to kill them. Other people probably don't like it.
Apocalypse now. That's all I'm saying. Helicopters, Flight of the Valkyrie. Shit is going down.
The post-apocalyptic days of Daisy's past.
I'm done. I'm done with the dandelions. I'm done.
It's like It's amazing. There's things I still can't say on the show.
Well, it's not that you can't say them. It's just that it's probably best if you don't. Okay.
Okay.
We haven't talked about conspiracy theories for like a couple of weeks now on here. Generally, you and I are always babbling. Oh well, we had Daryl on last week too, which was phenomenal. We never do that. We always behave when we have parental supervision.
Yes. It's best that way.
Yeah, we don't get crazy.
Believe me, they would hang up after about 20 minutes at best.
I'm not really wanting to be on your show anymore.
I got to go. My dog's on fire. He's getting near the drapes. I got to go. I got to order pizza. I need my phone.
Right. Yeah, sorry. Someone's calling in. I have to hang up. You're on Skype.
So, I've just been trying to keep it all quiet. Hush, hush.
The
conspiracies.
The conspiracies?
Don't tell people.
No.
Not everybody should know.
I'm trying to think what was the big... It's so... Conspiracy theories aren't even ridiculous anymore. That's the problem with them. They used to be fun because they were so far-fetched and unrealistic.
Like the Elvis still alive sort of thing.
Now you turn on the freaking news, and your conspiracy theory is like lame compared to what you're watching.
Yeah, that's the thing, man. A lot of the conspiracy theories have moved a little further away from the theory and a little closer into reality, especially the ones about rich people doing shit that they shouldn't be doing and having their hands in all kinds of shit,
Yeah, like who's surprised about that?
No one's surprised, but it also is takes a little bit of the romance out of the conspiracy theory. It's like, oh yeah, that stuff's happening all the time. We got to deal with this. I'm sorry.
I was watching a podcast.
We're going to talk about it, but now I got to have a rally.
I was watching Joe Rogan's podcast, which I know I keep sending you those because I think they're really interesting. But Abby Martin, who's
like the ones you sent.
She's like an activist and a reporter of what do you call those people? Journalist. And she pointed something out that, and I just thought it was, I'd never thought about it, but I watch the news like I watch wrestling. Like I watch it for the spectacle of the whole thing.
You cheer. Yes.
Because at the end of the day, I mean, we don't really have a whole hell of a lot of say in anything, right? So we're all just kind of here for the ride, so might as well enjoy it, right? But so I've been watching the news on and off here lately and just bouncing around to the different television networks and stuff. And it didn't strike me as odd at the time until I heard Abby Martin talking about it. But if you watch the news, you'll start to see advertisements for defense contractors. So you're watching whatever, Meet the Press or whatever this is, which is what's your demographic there? It's got to be like, 40 plus kind of demographic and all this stuff. And then there's these. I mean, is Grandma and Grandpa and Mom and Dad supposed to be saving up for a freaking Apache attack helicopter? I mean, who are they advertising to that they're putting this stuff on, during these news shows? And I don't have an answer for it. But now that, it's been kind of brought to my attention, I've noticed it. And
I assume they're not advertising for sale. They're advertising to make people aware.
Yeah, but I mean,
of how cool they get. Look what we got missiles, man.
It's like they're pre-expecting a backlash of some sort towards, I don't know, man. I don't know what they're doing. Like, I mean, it's like a publicity campaign for Northrop Grumman or Lockheed Martin or all these, and it's like they're advertising on these news stations, and I'm looking at it now and I'm thinking, okay, that's how many millions of dollars worth of commercials. What are they? Who exactly? I mean, yeah, we get it. You make the stuff that makes air quotes bad guys go boom. Okay, why are you? We're the wrong audience. The citizens are the wrong audience. You need to be pitching this shit to like the Joint Chiefs of Staff and
maybe
and
it's
those
like
kinds
a
of people,
military
right?
parade or something.
It's just weird. I don't remember. Maybe this has always been there, and I've just never noticed it really until now. But it just seems really odd that they would run these commercials during like news segments where the majority of the audience is probably middle class, and it's like who are you advertising to here, man?
Not me, man. It's been years since I've seen a commercial.
Yeah,
at least 5 or 6 years since I've seen a commercial.
And I think that's part of it because I cut the cable like 5 or 6 years. I don't know. Maybe I'm lying. A while ago, anyway. And then we just picked up where you can kind of subscribe to Spectrum on the Roku kind of thing. So we've been using that. So I'm seeing TV commercials again for the first time in a long time. So there could be some of that too, where it's been
coming from that medium or something.
Well, I just didn't realize it back when I finally cut the cable, and now I'm seeing things kind of with, I don't want to say fresh eyes, but fresher eyes. Where I'm looking at things kind of new again that I hadn't looked at in a while.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like when
I don't know. I just found it all really odd. I looked at that and I thought, man, this doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. Why is this?
To me, it comes across as being a military parade where they are parading before their audience. They're flexing their military muscles, showing what the country is capable of doing. If we unite together behind our president, we will have military supremacy. And here's why: we've got this technology. I mean, if they're selling something, they're selling their product to be accepted, not to be bought.
Well, so that's kind of the point, then, isn't it?
I guess.
So that's what
I've not seen them. So
are they expecting something that we don't know about, or what's going on here?
I think they just want us to have that kind of an attitude, man. I think they want us to be proud of that part of our nation.
Isn't that a weird kind of form of jingoism? Like, though, that where corporations that make weapons are seen as patriotic somehow.
Well, I'm reading.
Isn't that strange?
I don't know. Yeah, it is. I'm reading the first edition Shadowrun role playing game now, and that's all about that kind of stuff. So it actually is a bit almost comforting in that weird way, but not like really comforting, right? Like comforting as in, oh, that kind of makes sense. But then you look at it and you're like, oh, that's really fucked up,
Yeah.
Yeah, it is, man. But that's the thing that Shadowrun kept talking about, was that at some point that the corporations gained more power than the governments did. They had more influence on the government than the government did on the corporations. And there was a situation where somebody was trying to hijack this truck, and the corporation's security people used all of these weapons to keep this toxic waste from being disrupted or whatever it was. And there was a court decision on this, and the Supreme Court granted them the right to have been able to do that. So they were able to declare eminent domain in their company complexes and hire their own security guards and have their own weapons. And that's kind of how that got started, that role-playing game.
And let's be clear here, right? You're talking about a role-playing game.
Yeah, a fictional world.
This isn't... But if you were to look around, I don't know that a lot of that isn't necessarily the case today.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, it's comforting on that level when you're reading this book from 1987 or whatever it was.
They were sort of pre-predicting a lot of that kind of stuff.
Yeah, they even revised this game to make it not to make it more realistic with the times. But actually, what's happening, if you go back and you look, it's like, it's not that outdated to begin with.
No, it's still very relevant.
Yeah.
Kind of like Blade Runner, that movie. That's what that game always reminded me of. I played it frequently. Mm-hmm. Yeah, the Shadowrun game always reminded me of that Blade Runner, the movie Blade Runner. Kind of put it in that sort of tech-noir, sort of futuristic.
Like near future where cyberware and gritty detective. In fact, I wrote a paper in a... it wasn't my playwriting and analysis class. It was like a film class. And I wrote a paper that the professor really liked about how Blade Runner was neo-noir. It was like a new type of noir film. It had every aspect that was the definition of what a noir film was.
Right.
The only thing that it was different about it was that it was in color, not in black and white. Aside from that, it had every other aspect. It had the hard-boiled detective.
Yeah.
It had the femme fatale. It had the slat lighting
and stuff.
Yeah, and the low-level lighting and all of these contrasts and shit. And
it's one of my favorite movies of all time.
Every
version of it, too, by the way. The director's cut, by far, the final cut, the version of it, by far, is my favorite. But I like the original version that still had the voiceover stuff that made it kind of like that gritty detective sort of thing.
Yeah, I like that.
So there wasn't a version of it I didn't love.
There are crazy squirrel activities going on behind you, in case you wonder what I keep looking at.
Get the pellet gun.
There's like 4 or 5 squirrels jumping around in the trees
Well, that's
behind
what
that.
a lot of people probably don't know, is that we record this in a nature preserve.
Yeah,
we
with
should probably point that out.
squirrels and motorcycles and birds and, yeah.
We never did get to that 100 subscribers on YouTube where we were saying that, Tangent would let us out of the basement. Once we sort of moved over to Podbean.
Good thing that basement's in the nature
It was
reserve.
funny, like the whole focus just shifted once we went like full-blown podcast and stuff and moved over to Podbean.
Now,
By the way, Tangent's been, like I said, has been in there, moving the controls and stuff around now and making all kinds of fascinating stuff happen.
Well, again, we love you, audience, especially if you're still listening. And if you go over there and subscribe to YouTube. Hold on, give them a minute to do this because they got to get their phones out.
They already have their phones. They're listening on their phones, right, on iTunes.
I don't know. They could be mowing their yard, giving their cat a bath.
The hell were we talking about? Oh, Blade Runner and
Blade Runner,
Shadowrun.
Yeah. The difference with Shadowrun is, though, that when cyberware and and the Matrix, all that sort of took hold in the world and all these corporations took over at the same time, magic returned. And the way it happened was it caused goblinization. The people who
I hate it when that happens.
I do too, man. Especially at puberty, when I don't spill anything. When it does happen at puberty for some of the people in Shadowrun, and what happens is they have like a radical DNA mutation, and if they had aspects of dwarves or elves or trolls, they actually turn into those things, and they call it goblinization. And for like goblins, for like trolls and orcs, it happens at puberty, right? And it really messes them up pretty bad, so they tend to have really bad attitudes.
Yeah.
But elves and dwarves tend to be born from normal parents. So, and this happened because magic, and then of course all the awakened creatures came back, like unicorns and dragons and shit like that, and races, or not races really, but people who continue to keep their ties with magic. So, like pagans with the Hermetic tradition and shamans with the Native American tradition, those people were the first people to be able to start using magic again efficiently, and it changed everything. There was the tribes that were left band together and took back a significant portion of their land in the United States, and all these things happened at once, and it was sort of like the game is sort of set in this post-apocalyptic world, but only post-apocalyptic in the essence of what that word really means, which is a change and a revelation. It wasn't that anything was destroyed like you find in most post-apocalyptic movies. It's that everything changed. Magic came back, started working, awakened animals started coming back, and cyber technology allowed you to jack into a matrix, which was a construct that used your neurosystem of your body to interact with and all this. So it's
Let's
crazy.
get on it, man. Shit, let's get this stuff rolling already.
I'm like in real life.
Yeah,
get
right.
This stuff invented.
I'm ready, buddy. I'm ready to go. Speaking of genetic mutations, I just saw something this week. You know what CRISPR is, right?
Yes.
Good, because I don't have a fucking clue. But anyway, I think it's this thing that allows you to like edit your genes and stuff like that, right? But one of the side effects of it, from what I understand, has been that it also like somehow damages the genes so that it causes mutations you don't want. So, yay, right? But there's a new tool now I just saw called Majestic that apparently edits the gene in a different way. It edits it more like a word processor, like a find and replace. Mm-hmm. And like, it's your shit, man. They're getting so close where you're going to be able to literally edit your own genetic code.
And I do have a copy of my own genetic code.
Oh, yeah, because you did the 23andMe or something like that, right?
Yes.
Now, that's where you found out that you were actually a caveman.
Yeah.
Like, not joking.
Right.
Legitimately, you're a caveman.
Yeah, I had more Neanderthal DNA markers than 99% of the people that they've ever tested. And I also had a gene that only elite powerlifters have.
No shit.
Yeah,
huh?
I feel like that might have been related. But consequently, I also got their FDA-approved health thing done.
Right.
And all of the genetic diseases like Parkinson's disease and Alzheimer's and all of that, I got negative on all of those. Like no markers were activated on any of those genes because they pretty much have replicated successfully for about 60,000 years.
So they're pretty stable
They're
at this
stable,
point.
yeah, at least as far as genetic diseases are concerned.
So where's your family from, though? I mean, other than...
Well,
the Flintstones, or
my Neanderthal
town
family.
of Bedrock.
Well, essentially, yeah, man. My Neanderthal family comes from eastern France and the highlands of France, which is where you find all of the Neanderthal cave paintings.
Right.
And my genetic markers show my two sources. The first one of which starting out from that spot, which is why I have so much of the Neanderthal DNA still, because I directly came from that spot in that place. And then my second markers indicate that I came from Gaul, which is modern day Germany. But Gaul was the people that gave the Germans that gave the Romans nightmares at night. The barbarians of Gaul and stuff. Vectrix Garrison. He would be one of those Gauls that gave the Romans fright.
That's cool as shit, though. I mean, like, because you hear about people who are like, well, which people were native to a region, and that's who the land belonged. You got like everybody beat. Like,
yeah, man. Like, if it comes to the highlands of France, pretty much my family goes back past humans.
Freaking crazy, man.
But I don't tend to be very territorial, so it's okay. But essentially, I guess from that point, it was there for quite a while, and then at the very end, it kind of arced up into the Scandinavian regions, Scandinavia and all that, Denmark, Norway, and then down into Ireland, and then over into the United States, and got like a 0.5% of Shawnee Indian or something.
Just for good measure, right? A little salt
at the very
on there.
end, yeah.
It's interesting. I mean, I know a lot of people. My wife's done that too, but a lot of people are having that done now. That 23andMe stuff.
Yeah,
and
it's pretty awesome.
Fuck, man, it was huge in helping us figure out, some things about my wife's health, which I won't go into details on, but it's literally like dialing up your predispositions, your genetic predispositions it'll tell you which medications you have a tendency to be overly sensitive to, which medications you have a tendency to not be sensitive at all to, and things like this. It's crazy. Even like chemicals like caffeine, if you're going to be a big coffee drinker.
Your genetic weight, and whether you toss and turn at night, whether you have rosacea, I think is how you say it, rosacea. All these different things. And some stuff has been found out by people who have got their genetics done by 23andMe, and then also participated in their questionnaires so that they were able to match up the answers of these people with their genetics.
Right. They're going like back and saying, okay,
correlating
all of these
information.
people have whatever diabetes, and I'm probably wrong, but and then they're going to say, well, which codes do they have that are identical with each other, and then able to define, okay, if you have this, then you have this predisposition for this disease.
And not only that, but they'll ask them questionnaires, and they'll find that those people with the markers and the diabetics with the markers will all answer certain questions the same way, right? So it's not even the DNA, it's taking the DNA and the people and having those people answer questions and finding out that these people are also matching up with certain symptoms and other things, and they've been able to actually discover new markers in that way by finding out that all these people with this marker are susceptible or have this thing that they've answered, yay or nay to that we've asked them. So they'll go and they'll search that specific thing, and they'll find that there's a relation. So there's been 2 or 3 things that they've actually discovered in that fashion. You'd have to go on their site and check it out, but it's you can get into some pretty deep reading. I actually printed off a giant binder of like
I've seen that.
500 or 600 pages, and it's my manual.
Didn't you loan that or didn't somebody at school or something? Didn't they take that and study it and actually look at it for a while?
Yep, I loaned it to the biologist at the university.
And he gave it back to you and went, I never want to see that again.
He brought it back to me, and now I find that there are police with dogs outside of his
The house often, right?
yeah, outside of his office door all the time.
There's black SUVs with the windows all fogged out, you know. I wouldn't be surprised, man.
Well, you know, that's why right when I got that genetic testing done, they were talking about the polar ice caps melting and releasing germs, viruses, and things that had not been into the ecosystem in several hundred thousands, millions of years and stuff. And I was thinking, yeah, you know, I think I've got genes that
you're
got
all
resistance.
set.
I'm set for that. Yeah, a great little mini apocalypse.
Yeah,
Kill out most of the people.
and you'd be immune to it. It wouldn't bother you at all because you got them freaking Neanderthal genes.
Yeah,
that
I'd
have
get
seen everything.
I get like a fever and the shits or something, and everybody else just dies. Well, yeah, it was bad for a couple of days, but you know, I don't really want to talk about it. It was, where meanwhile everyone else is dead.
Well, I tell you, that's a great segue into the next topic, which is Uber Air.
Which I'll still be able to get rides from once everyone dies.
Well, you're right. Well, no, because they're going to be semi-autonomous, man. That's the idea.
Yeah, so I can
you've
still get
seen,
rides after everyone dies.
So
right?
you've seen this stuff,
No,
right?
no. But I figured that if there was a next step, it would have something to do with less people and air.
Well, there was two big things I saw this week that really tripped me out. One was the and we can get into that, but you know, this whole concept of like drone technology and things like that, because there's so many people developing this stuff now to make these little drones. They're making them bigger and bigger and bigger.
Soon we'll be able to draw and quarter people in the air.
Well,
just tie a drone to each limb, you know, and take off.
Or they could transport people and be a very positive thing.
With some stabilizing bars
here and there. We don't have to go all, you know,
medieval
12th century on it or whatever.
Yeah, that's why I'd be the thinker of a group. You know what we could use this for?
But that's that's a thing, man. I mean, it is not going to be too much longer before we're able to have like reliable vertical takeoff type personal aircraft, man. I mean, it's coming. It's not a matter of if.
Those hover cars that were promised in 2000, they're coming. It might be 2050.
It's going to look. I think it's going to look a little different. Uber Air, I guess the concept is that you go to like these centers where it'd be on the top of skyscraper buildings in densely populated areas.
These people either want to die or they want to take a ride.
I just think that once you've been in a major city like Los Angeles for any period of time, to not have to sit in that traffic, risking your life starts to become, it's so bad that maybe I will get in some contraption that's autonomously piloted, but fuck, if I don't die, I'll be home 20 minutes sooner or an hour sooner because of this damn LA traffic. So
I want that Salisbury steak. Let's go.
Yeah, right. I got TV dinners to eat. Damn it.
Yeah. Times are wasting. Let's go.
The other thing I saw that really.
If you know those, I don't know what they're called, but they're like suits that make you look like flying squirrels.
Yeah.
You would need like to wear something like that in those cars, man, in case they crash. You can just like jump out the window and just kind of glide on home.
You know those guys all wear parachutes, right?
Yeah.
Because you can't actually land with one of them suits on.
Yeah, but the parachute will just drop you slowly, right where your airplane stops, right?
Yeah.
But what you want to do is you want to kind of glide a little bit further onto your house. You could maybe hit the parachute still.
Yeah.
If you want.
I think we're going to have to have
a personal choice.
We're going to have a long talk, probably not now, on physics and how aerodynamics work and drop ratios and things like that, because they're shit on them suits. They're better than not having the suit. The one that you might get away with was the guys that wear those wings.
Yeah.
Have you seen that? You know, because then you could just
like
fire.
The flying squirrel thing.
Yeah, but those have engines and thrust. You know, they have a method of providing forward momentum. So they're able to actually climb with those
Wow,
on.
you could be
Somebody
like-
flew across like the English Channel with one of those things not too long ago.
I'd paint mine like Batman. Just
You would, wouldn't you?
would.
I'm Batman.
I knew Batman couldn't fly. That'd be the last thing I heard somebody say as I descended down to the bottom at 32 feet per second. Crunch.
Splat.
Let's see. Let's do the math. I'm falling at 32 feet per second. Sound travels at 72 feet per second. Yeah, I'll catch that.
This Google is this. The other thing that was this. Did you see the link I put up on our website or on our Facebook page about the Google Assistant? Have you seen that?
I seen that you put it up and some other people put it up, but I have not seen it yet.
This thing is crazy, man. Yeah, just go to the No Shit Facebook page, and it's like, just scroll down. It's the it's called Circuit Breaker. But if you guys haven't seen this yet, this is scary impressive. It's a tool that Google is getting ready to roll out, I guess, here soon, where you can it's like a personal assistant, and you'll hear it here. We'll put the video on and let this guy explain it. I don't think Google will get pissed about this, but it's a tool that you can use that will literally make phone calls and things for you to the point where the person that's being called by the assistant wouldn't know that the person or what they're talking to is not a human being.
I've seen this technology before. I've just not seen it integrated into an AI.
This is insane, man. You got it yet? Did you find it?
I'm very close. I'm
Okay.
on the page, and there's Daryl, and there's Judy. And there's Judy. And
But yeah, I watched this video and I was just floored
wait, where's this
by
video at?
It's on the No Shit page,
Okay.
the No Shit Cast Facebook page.
Gotcha.
Yeah. I don't know who this is. It's I don't think it's like anybody. It's not like Jeff Bezos or anything like that. It's one of the engineers that's talking about it, but it's really fascinating stuff.
Yeah, maybe I should look it up somewhere else, man.
Are you kidding me? It's right there. I'm looking at it on the other computer.
Yeah, I don't see it over here on this other computer, though.
Scroll down. Down. A little more. A little more.
I know.
Oh, you're on the wrong thing. That's the official Facebook group. That's that thing. I don't know what.
What am I supposed to be on?
Just No Shitcast, the Facebook page. It's called No-Shit, KNOW-SHIT on Facebook. That's the official. That's the group. I'm talking about the page. I don't know why Facebook does shit that way, man. But that's one of the first things Tangent did when he came on, is he created the official Facebook group.
Guys listening out there, I want you guys to know right now, this is the first time I've been to this page.
Are you kidding me?
I don't believe
You know,
I
this
am.
is our 30th podcast. This is the first time you've been to this page?
Maybe. I'm just kind of figuring out it exists.
That's where no, it isn't, because that's
Oh
where
my
I
gosh.
share everything.
Then
Okay.
I don't. Yeah, all this has to load up, man. It's
You've never been
confused.
here.
No.
Okay, scroll down.
Down? Okay.
Yeah, down.
There's 8 dimensions here, so that's why I'm asking if you...
Keep going. You're almost there. One more.
Nope. Nope.
And keep going.
Yes.
There he is. Play that.
Now, see, this is the kind of help I need in general. Nothing works out easy like I'm just finding out stuff.
You got you a college
I
education.
yeah,
Mama,
I need
tell
it
ya.
too. Or like really specific things.
Listen to this.
Hi, I'm calling to book a women's haircut for a client. I'm looking for something on May 3rd.
Let's say you want to ask Google to make you a haircut appointment on Tuesday between 10 and noon. What happens is the Google Assistant makes the call seamlessly in the background for you. So what you're going to hear is the Google Assistant actually calling a real salon to schedule the appointment for you. Let's listen.
So how can I help you? Hi, I'm calling to book a women's haircut for a client. I'm looking for something on May 3rd. Sure, give me 1 second. Mm-hmm. Sure, what time are you looking for around? At 12 p.m. We do not have a 12 p.m. available. The closest we have to that is a 1:15. Do you have anything between 10 a.m. and 12 p.m.? Depending on what service she would like. What service is she looking for? Just a woman's haircut for now. Okay, we have a 10 o'clock. 10 a.m. is fine. Okay, what's her first name? The first name is Lisa. Okay, perfect. So I will see Lisa at 10 o'clock on May 3rd. Okay, great. Thanks. Great. Have a great day. Bye.
It's nuts.
That was a real call you just heard. The amazing thing is the assistant can actually understand the nuances of conversation. We've been working on this technology for many years. It's called Google Duplex. It brings together all our investments over the years in natural language understanding, deep learning, text-to-speech. By the way,
That's insane.
That is crazy. But cool.
Yeah, I mean, I saw that. That just blew my mind, man. Could you imagine that? Like, the things you can use that for? But and I was talking to my wife about this. Here's the funny thing. Here's what's going to happen. You're going to end up with Google Assistants calling Google Assistants because if it works that direction, right, it'll work the other way, too.
Well,
where you own the hair salon and it does all of your scheduling. So when you call into the hair salon, you're not talking to a person that actually works there unless you ask to. You're talking to Google Assistant. So you know, your Google Assistant's going to be calling someone else's Google Assistant and setting up appointments and things like that. It won't even be a human transaction.
Are you sure that won't break the internet?
Oh, I don't know about all that. You saw the thing where the two, what was it? The two artificial intelligences were talking to each other and they started developing their, actually, no, wait a minute. I think that was clarified later that isn't actually what happened. No, that was when Alexa started laughing, just laughing at people, like creepily, would just laugh like these. It was freaking people out. There was something about Alexa that they fixed that. But yeah, there was, I think it was Alexa's, but there was, it might have been Google that did it, but they had two of their devices talking to each other, and they just let it go. And you could, and somebody else did this too. And I watched a live stream of it a little bit where these things were just asking each other questions and trying to sort out what the other one wanted. But all it wanted was to know what the other one wanted. So they just got kind of caught in this weird feedback loop.
That's how we will defeat the artificial intelligence.
But when you can go back and look at it, some of the creepy shit that they said. But I thought that they had two AI that started talking to each other and they shut them down because they started to develop their own more efficient method of communicating.
Yeah.
Other than the language that they were supplied to communicate in.
Yeah.
They started to like do, and the developers didn't know what they were saying to each other.
Right. Okay, we're done here.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, let's shut that shit down right now, right?
Go get a sandwich, man.
What was the name of the big corporation in Terminator that
yeah.
you know what I'm talking about?
Skynet.
Skynet, yeah. It's like, oh, shit, dude, you hit it with a hammer. Don't let that stuff start up.
Yeah, right.
Well, hell, man, we've done an hour and almost 15 minutes here. You got anything else you want to bullshit about tonight?
Let's think hard about this thinking.
Don't hurt yourself.
Okay.
Make sure you stretch first. We don't want you pulling a hammy.
Ooh, well, let's see. Give me some math.
Why would I do that?
To stretch my mind.
Yeah, we all know how much you love math.
I know, right? That's going to hurt me right there.
Well, I'm going to take that as a no.
Yeah, I would like to think of something, but, my brain is not that agile.
You've been out of school now on summer vacation for how long?
I don't know, a day or two.
See, so your excuses fall hollow.
It's been like a week.
Has it been a week?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, Monday will be a week.
Yeah.
But, it's been a better part of a week.
And you come up here, you know that you've been accused of being verbose by professors and stuff, and you can't think of anything to say.
Okay. I can.
Oh, wait. I'm not sure I want you to.
Yeah, you may not. This is your last chance. You ready to wrap this up?
You know what? We're going to pull the pin on it right there,
All
folks.
Right.
All right, everybody. Thanks for listening. We appreciate it. Get your butt out there and check out the xfactory.com creative network. Go over and hit like and subscribe. YouTube, iTunes, Google Play.
And get yourself some ice cream. It's summer.
Yeah, no shit, right? Get out and enjoy the weather. Thanks for listening, everyone, and we'll catch you all next time.